Hello guys. So it's uploaded. Um, doo-doo-doo. I just went ahead and trimmed out like the first minute or two or whatever. That way, there's no phone numbers for for what because uh I can't. I don't even want. I'm not just because people be crybabies. That's why. That's why. And probably because it's not ethical or whatever. But at this point, I guess we pick and choose when we're going to be ethical around them parts. So, with the trimming, it's about 20-ish, 21 minutes long. So, I'm going to go ahead and, well, let me put this disclaimer up because I know I would want a warning if I was going to have to hear that asshole's voice. People um trigger warning. All I don't know if it's necessarily going to be graphic, but if it's coming out of his mouth, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Nothing going to be on the screen. Probably be black. I don't know. I might have made it pink. I don't even know. But the audio is what we're going to focus on. And the reason that we're doing this right now at this moment in time is because somebody on their little Dumble Rumble show um was talking like they were this big, the all knowing of Alex's case, and he talked to this person, and he talked to that person, and he knows everything. And uh, he did talk to them one time, and that's what we're going to listen to. I believe it, Trony, which is Chucky's brother, which that said person said last night that he was the one who hauled Alex out of there, and I quote. So, we're going to listen to this phone call and see if we can't figure out how he came to that conclusion or if he's just a liar. So, here we go. Hey, Cruiser Chris. I do have a celebrity in my chat room. Can I have your autograph? Thank you for gracing me with your presence. Now my day is going to be so much more gooder. Yes, yes, everybody. You are amongst a celebrity. Everybody say hi to Cruiser Chris. He's like famous, not pseudo famous. He's real famous. He's a stand up, sit down comedian. Alright, I'm going to cue this up.
What road is that on?
Stockyard.
Hey, hotspot. Alright, I'm gonna mute, and once again, I'm sorry, but you're just gonna have to bear with him for 20 minutes because it'll be worth it.
Road.
D. Ward is his name?
D. Edward.
D. Edward, can you hear me? Pardon, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Am I calling you too early? This is James Terry. I'm a private investigator. I was told to call you. I'm looking into a missing persons case. I was told that I might be able to help you out. A fellow went missing named Robert Alex Easterling. You know who he is. He was your buddy.
That irks my soul. Like, and he does it all the fucking. Like, how are you gonna work a case and not even know anything? Like, you can't pronounce the name. Like, you don't. Anyways, I digress. We'll never get through this if I do this, but it just annoys me. It just irks my soul because why would you think that's how it's pronounced by looking at it? You just got to be really illiterate. But I digress. Love you too, husband.
What about?
Well,
I'm at work.
Go ahead.
I'm at work,
Okay.
and I got a rolling hole in my head.
Is there a better time to call you now that you know who I am?
Yeah.
I think he said he had a rolling can in his hand, so he's at the college painting. Ain't that something?
Okay, I talked to the sheriff. He gave me your number. He said I might be able to help you guys out. I guess you got people harassing you and
Oh, so we lying out here on these streets. Imagine that. I mean, I guess. But that's what I mean. That's why he gets people to talk, because he manipulates them and it tricks them into thinking the circumstances are different. I'm not going to do that. So that is why they don't want to talk to me. Am I offended? No, I would be more offended at this point, considering the difference. I would probably be more offended if they did, because that would mean that they thought I was manipulatable. Like, or what is it? Easily, whatever. I don't even remember what he said. It was so asinine. Painting. Didn't know that at the time. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is actually the first time I'm ever hearing what he sounds like, and he kind of talks like a just like I expected. Sounds just like a little mini Willie. Like, I almost regret not having subtitles, because I don't know that everybody else is going to understand understand the dialect. And my dog is howling. Lovely, right?
Hounding you that this kid, something might have happened on your property, you and your brother. Is it Troney? Is that how you say his name?
Huh?
Your brother, Troney?
My brother?
Is that your brother?
Yeah, but what about him?
Well, I guess he was getting harassed too by the family, and I wanted to talk to both of you. So that's what I was told to do, and I'm just trying to touch base with you. But if there's a better time you want to call me back, my phone's on 24/7.
Yeah.
All right, and if you can get Troney to call me too, I'd appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, my friend. What the hell's he do for a job?
He doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, there is no real job.
All right,
I
so
mean-
he's pulling car parts out, so he's probably greasy. And I mean, I'll give him. Hey, listen, he didn't hang up on me.
Right.
He didn't know who I was talking about when it has to do with. But you see his reaction to his brother. Why?
My brother, what? Right.
What? Why him? Why you want to talk to? See, when you throw a rock into a pack of dogs, the one that gets hollered, yeah, it's Troney. What's Troney's real name?
That's it. Antony.
Do you know how to spell it?
Yeah,
I'm gonna do a background check on it.
I've got a little bit of a background check on it, but you can probably run one that's a
Yeah,
little.
let's just
But
do a total and we'll start new.
I sent you a copy of his driver's license yesterday.
Are you serious, Ashley? That's it? That's it? Like, he don't call back? I'm not gonna lie. Like, I listened to it enough to know where the phone number was at the beginning, and this is a raw reaction. I have not heard this in its entirety. So that's it. Well, we're only like a minute in. What's gonna happen the rest of the 20 minutes? What? So should we? I'm gonna keep listening. I mean, wow. I mean, you know what? I'm not surprised at this point. Hey, Racing Stars.
Okay.
Okay.
I can resend it. Let me put my glasses
Well,
on.
no. I have it. I just so that I don't have to go back and get off a phone, get on a phone, and all that. I just thought if you have it in front of you.
I do. I can pull it up real quick because
This is in Mississippi.
It
Let's
is
see.
Mississippi. Let me get to Jim Terry.
And how old is this kid, do you think?
He was
40,
born-
30?
Yeah, he turned 40 last year because his date
How'd
of
you get his
birth.
driver's license?
I can't disclose that part.
So you have a cop on the inside, right?
I've got people. I have people on the inside. Same reason that I knew about his ankle.
Okay. All right, that's all I need to know.
Oh yeah. But his date of birth is 10. E. Middle
Last
name.
So there's not going to be that name.
Oh,
in
no.
Mississippi. Here he goes, one guy. Vaughn, V-A-U-G-H. Yeah, there's only one in the whole country named Anthony Tweety Bird or whatever his name is. Here he is, 40 years old. Okay, so let's look him up criminally. There's not much here.
Yeah, he didn't have much of a criminal background that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have a criminal background.
And I don't know whether he, but it didn't. I didn't even show any arrests. But my background checks convictions anyway.
Yeah. How about a girl? I'm going to read you some names. See if people tell me if you've ever drive. This woman has the same
Sorry, guys, you'll understand all of this eventually. I know I keep saying that, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing it, but trust me, I'm not. There's a method to my madness, and when I can, you all will know, but not today.
Don't know that one, but I know that their dad is deceased.
Okay, here's a Willie A. Anderson, 73 in Pickens. Deshauna Anderson, 35 in Ridgeland, Mississippi.
Don't know.
Dolores Anderson, 63 in Pickens. Is that the grandmother?
That's Mama. That's the Imelda Marcos or whatever we're calling her. She's the mom of Troney and Chucky.
Okay. See, I got a Mississippi number too, so I could call them, and they don't, So what do they do there?
Honestly, I don't know. They have, their business license is a trucking company. So what they do with that, I honestly have no idea, but I don't know of any legitimate work that they do.
And he's got to be able to keep up the property tax. He's got to be able to...
Yeah, his property tax is $14 a year.
Oh, God.
Breaking the bank.
What's interesting is the grandmother or the mama, whatever the hell's got a P.O. box as her address.
Uh-huh.
Her job, she owns a company called Cowboy Corner LLC. What is that?
Ooh, I didn't know that one. Cowboy Corner. I will find it out.
I have no idea what that is. She's got a P.O. box as her address. I've got her email accounts here. Do any of these people speak English?
They speak Mississippi Hills English. I
know a lot of people from Mississippi don't sound like that.
Right.
I mean, what the hell?
Well, like me, I sound like cornbread is the description I was given. I've got that, but I'm Alabama, Mississippi, but mine is not, at least not broken English.
You have what's called a Southern drawl. Those people they're speaking some kind of bullshit. I don't know what that is. All right. And there's not a period at the end of the sentence. All right, here's a phone number on her. You're telling me the sheriff is this woman's boyfriend?
That's what we've been told. Oh.
The wireless customer is
Okay, that cell phone's dead already. Let's go to the home number.
And I've got a phone number for Troney.
2021? For the mother. Of course. What's her real name?
Dolores.
There you go. All right, what's the number you got on?
0.
His brother's name's D.
No shit, Ashley? Well, that makes what happened the other day when I was on the phone with you even more interesting, don't you think? And also, I wanted to point out to you guys as you listen, do you see who's doing all the footwork here? She's paid him to do this job, but he is getting every piece of information from her and then going over it and seeing what he can find based off of what she has done. What kind of private investigator doesn't just do the job themselves and come tell you when they're done? Everything he did was already, at least, if nothing else, at the minimum, the groundwork was already laid. He just had access to a different background check software because he's a fake PI. Let's just be honest and just get down to the freaking, the cheeses and potatoes, as my mima would say. Let's just be real frank about it. And he has this pattern of doing that with all cases. It's all information that's already gathered by somebody else, usually the family, and he just puts it out there like he broke the news or tells it in a way that's not true to try to get a knee-jerk. I don't know what his angle is. I'm just saying, you see who's doing all of the heavy lifting. And one of the two of them got paid, and it wasn't Ashley, so that's a big problem. As far as I'm concerned, it's a huge problem.
by pressing pound.
Trony, give me a call. This is James. I got a new cell phone number, 813-993-2242. I talked to your brother earlier today, but he was busy. He was at work. Give me a call. Who the fuck is that? Don't call me back. All right, so,
I'm trying to think who else, because I've got a list, because I've got.
Hold on, somebody's calling me. Let me see who this
awesome.
is.
Okay.
See if this is Tony Ronnie Steve. Hold on. Hello, this is James.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is James. Who's this, Trony?
Yeah, who is it?
Trony, my name is James. I just got off the phone with your brother, but he was working. He didn't tell you I was going to call you?
Yeah, who is it?
Okay, I'm an investigator, private investigator. I'm looking into a missing persons case, and I'm trying to help you folks because from what I understand, this missing boy's family's kind of been harping on you guys that you might know something about this. A boy went missing named Robert Alexander Easterling.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Who?
Do you know who I'm referring to?
I'm saying, who they supposed to be hopping on?
Well, they gave your brother kind of a tough time. They brought dogs out to the property and everything else. So I was hired by a media outlet to look into this, and it seems like you guys have received a little bit of a rough time. At least your brother has.
See, that is a big problem to me. That is what I mean about, oh, well, yeah, he gets people to talk to him. It's not because he's easy to talk to and he's just got this persuasive personality. It's because he lies and manipulates and misrepresents who he is, what he's doing, and why he's doing it. And therefore, people talk to him under false pretenses, which, aside from being unethical and just bad to do, it is a crime to obtain information, personal information about people under false pretenses. That is okay. Sorry, I just had to do that. And listen, why is Tony whatever Loney? Why is he all fired up? Like, I don't that's very interesting because if there's only one other person that has had a reaction like that just by being asked about it, and that was a householder, and they were both there that night. So I'm intrigued. Let's keep going.
So I've got a couple of people here on my list. Go ahead.
I don't know nothing about no missing person.
You've never heard of Robert Alex Easterling?
I haven't, nobody.
Easterling, you asshole.
They harassed me about no missing person.
Right, but they were harassing your brother, and your name got brought into it, so that's why I wanted to call you. If you're not being bothered, or the cops haven't questioned you or anything, but you know who Alex is. I mean, you guys grew up with him.
No, they didn't. Why are you just saying shit to say? Ugh. And once again, kudos to Ashley because I don't know how she's maintained her composure. And I mean, throughout this entire thing, she just keeps her mouth shut and lets shit play out. I hope that I can grow into that kind of a tactfulness because, I'd have been like, what the f are you talking about? But anyways, kudos to you. Girl, way more self-composure than I have at this point in my life.
Who grew up? I didn't grow up with no Alex.
You don't know Alex Easterling?
No, I don't know Alex. Easterling, well, no.
Okay. Well, the day that he went missing, the day that he went missing, that night, you were at the house when he was there. That I know for sure because the woman told me about that.
Who was at the house?
You were, sir.
At what house? I was working at night.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not going to play semantics. Between 6 and 8 o'clock, somewhere around there, you were at that house. Your car was there, and you spoke with the man that went missing. And your mom is the one that told us and identified that was your car and that you were there. I mean, unless there's another guy that looks like you with a limp, it was probably 2 days before you went to the doctors when your leg was bad. A few months back.
Man, who is this?
My name is James Terry.
Oh, this is a man. I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, I don't believe that. You got to know who this is. Well, why don't you call your brother? Ask your brother who.
Who was at the house?
You were, sir.
That's my house. I work at night.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not going to play semantics. Between 6 and 8 o'clock, somewhere around there, you were at that house. Your car was there, and you spoke with the man that went missing. And your mom is the one that told us and identified that that was your car and that you were there. I mean, unless there's another guy that looks like you with a limp, it was probably 2 days before you went to the doctors when your leg was bad. A few months back.
Man, who is this?
My name is James Terry.
This is a man. I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, I don't believe that. You got to know who this is. Well, why don't you call your brother, ask your brother who Alex was, and then call me back, and I'll explain it to you. I'm not after you. I need to talk to you. If you don't know about this.
I know you're not up there. I'm in the I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Well, then I would call your brother, call your brother, ask him what I'm talking about, and then call me back. That way he'll educate you on it. I'm sure he'll make sense of it for you. Call me back. Sounds like somebody with a guilty conscience. Now, is it possible he has no idea who your son is? He's gone now, by the way.
Absolutely not. He knows who that is because he was in the driveway. I don't know if I told you this part, but when we pulled in and the spotlight came on the mailbox before you turn in, it's like this huge light bar. That was my first. But when we pulled into the driveway, there was a car sitting on the right-hand side of the driveway pointed out with the lights on or whatever. And I was like, what the hell's up with this guy? What's happening here? He's like, oh, that's nothing. That's just his brother. And I was like, okay, well, does he know he's going the wrong way? I mean, he's on the wrong side of the driveway. He's like, oh, that's just that's just where he sits or whatever. And when I left, that car was not there.
You know what kind of car it is?
It was dark. I know that the lights were not like, newer cars have the round lights. These were long, skinny lights.
So he was in a spaceship.
Well, they were, long and thin, more of like a, I don't know cars, but you know what I mean. When like the newer cars have the round halogen-y looking lights, it had to have been an older model car because they weren't halogen, they weren't that super bright, and they were longer lights rather than square or anything. They were like long rectangles.
Was this guy ever questioned? The cops said they could never get hold of him. I got hold of him in less than 12 hours.
I know, isn't that amazing? Right. And no, I don't think they've ever spoken to him. That I know of.
Oh, I just did. All right, so I'm sure he's calling everybody right now. So, all right, I'm texting him your son's flyer.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, he's probably calling his brother right now. He's like, yeah, that guy called here too. Okay. Well, I think it's probably pretty important that we find out about this body in a field. I mean, so that technically now we got two missing persons. We need to find who that woman is. How did you get this intimate details that a gun was put in her mouth? I mean, that leads me to believe somebody was there. It's not an urban legend, right?
Right. It came directly from the chief of police in Pickens. His name is Joe. Directly from that police chief's mouth to my husband, Brent Martin.
Okay. So how do I get a hold of Joe?
Let me see if I have Joe's number.
And is that J-O or is that...
I think Joe. I can probably get the number real quick.
Did your son graduate high school?
Nope, he quit 3 months before he graduated and got his GED.
And what about his the child you told me about? What about the child's mother? Where is she at now?
Somewhere close to Winona is. Yes, she is. She's a couple years younger than.
Okay.
And I'm about to take custody of her daughter.
So yeah, just not gonna put that out there about not that it's a secret, just
I don't know.
Is that to hide the track marks?
I must be. I just don't get it. I have tattoos, but you can't see them unless I choose to show them to you.
What are they? I don't have any, but what are they?
I have a seahorse because
a seahorse.
Yes, I grew up scuba diving.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
that was the first tattoo I ever
I
got.
grew up on Clearwater Beach. I've never seen a seahorse in my life live. Go ahead.
Oh my God, they're my favorite things in the world when I was a little girl. When you're, 8 years old, 7 and 8 years old, to be able to go underwater and have seahorses wrapped around your fingers.
I never
Yeah.
seen one in the water. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead. What else?
So,
You got seahorse and what
and
else?
then I have and it was before they called them tramp stamps. Thank you very much.
Oh no, they've always called them tramp stamps. Go ahead.
I quit doing I quit doing all the cool stuff, piercings and stuff, when they became mainstream. But yeah, just in the lower part of my back, I've got a sunshine. Even though my granddaughter calls it octopus. I'm like, well, it was a sunshine when I got it.
I guess that thing has moved a little bit.
I suppose so, but out of the mouths of babes.
Right.
I'm going to ask you know what? We can just call the Pickens Police Department. It's like literally 4 people that work in there.
Okay,
Let me pull it up real quick. Pickens Police Department. Pickens, Mississippi. Their number is 662 848, and the chief's name is Joe.
Chief Joe.
Yeah.
I might tell him I have you on the other line. Hold on.
And that'll be fine.
He never told you the girl's name?
No, never told us.
Did you ask?
I wasn't part of that conversation. My husband was, and I do believe he did ask, but I wasn't there for it, so I can't say yay or nay.
And it hung up on me. You sure that's the right number?
It's the one that was online.
662-468-9848.
9848, yes. Let me go to the official website of the city of Pickens. That is South Carolina, so that's not
How
good.
old were you when you had your son?
I was 15.
I was going to say, I've got a picture of you too, and it must be real, and you look
Yeah.
like you're 12.
Yeah. I was very young, which is why our relationship is a little bit different. It was one of those, barefoot pregnant in lower Alabama when, and I instantaneously got put into a statistical box at that point in time, which I'm very opposed to. Don't put me in a box. So, but I still graduated high school, still have a college degree.
Where'd you go to college?
Belhaven.
I know Belhaven. They have a little Division III football program there. They used to years ago.
Well, and their big thing, they focus a lot on their baseball program. That a lot of Belhaven College, they've changed it to a university now, which kind of takes the esteem off of a private Christian college to me. But it's Belhaven College when I went there, and it's in Jackson. Well, I went to junior college at Holmes.
Right, I remember you telling me that. So. At what
So a couple couple things. I wanted to let that play a little bit because you see what he's doing. Now we know how this is all played out, but he's fishing and acting like he's interested in where she went to college and trying to relate like all the college program, blah blah. So in writing down what she says so that later on he can use it against her. And exactly. Yep. Sorry. So, a couple of things though that I wanted to point out was I mean, the defensiveness was really, really, really kind of just seemed a little suspicious to me. All right, let me turn this in. Oh yeah. You what? Hold on.
Was that D. Edward that walked out there?
No, that's the
That's a
son.
Dodge.
Okay.
That's not a Nissan.
I was thinking it, because he told us he didn't have a shirt on.
Now, the boy Michael yesterday didn't have a shirt on.
Dude, you in that film right now?
Yes.
Probably will.
All right.
That's at 8:25.
And see, if you're looking at that now, his house is straight in front of them vehicles.
The porch.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where his house is.
There was more than one. There are more than one camera.
Right, and this is when we got this camera too. Yeah.
And that's, you can see your son walking right there.
Yeah, it's short hair.
Not
No,
right
they're gonna
there,
be one.
right
They're
here.
gonna be Michael.
He gonna come walking. You ain't got that book bag out the car yet, look.
You finna
No,
get
you
it out
finna
now.
get it out now. There you come right there.
That's Alex there.
And this is one more bag. So 2027, he was on the phone.
And she done picked her son up and she leaving out. You see him flash when the light flash on him, right?
The motion on the gate. Motion light.
You see him turn the corner in?
See when the light hit him.
Yeah. And he heading out to Stockyard Road, then now walking towards Stockyard Road. Have that car leaving out. And that's
After that, don't see him. Don't.
All right. Let's go back to the main menu with all these clips on it.
Do we know who all's vehicles are? I mean, I see the average truck.
Yeah, his wife and they got children. This guy here, that's at the 20. That's at 854.
Yeah.
So they got it broke.
Another deep dive into the video surveillance footage and why IT was tampered with in my opinion. Hashtag find Alex Easterling.
Okay, so yesterday we kind of focused more on the when he went out, Alex went out the gate, and we're gonna circle back to that as well. But I want to spend a little bit of time today focusing on the way the video was presented, like specifically, the clicking on files, clicking. I wanted to show you all a little bit just so you can see like how quick she's clicking on stuff and opening it and close it. There's nothing continuously playing and nothing's in order, and it's a mess. And I feel like, in my opinion, it was intended that way so that you couldn't make sense out of it. And I don't think they realized um, how they had met their match because Ashley was ready. She said, "Oh, I'll piece it together," and I don't think they've ever had anybody that not necessarily. How do I say this? Not be offensive. Not everybody is tech savvy, and when I say that it goes even farther for Holmes County, Mississippi. So they can take advantage of people there by just saying something, and they have to take them on their word. I don't think they planned to have to deal with someone like Ashley, and they don't even know the half of it yet. Exactly, what Ashley said. They ordered the files in the order they wanted them played, which was not in chronological order according to time, and it just made no sense the way that they tried to present it. But what's on the screen right now is this is the files, and what I have the arrows pointing at is there's right here is the date they were modified, and then they were compressed, and then the size. Okay, well, if you look at the top, it says January 22nd, then it says February 21st, then it says February 16th. Now that it should, first of all, it should be in chronological order, and all they have to do is click it and it order it. And in this video of Ashley tells them that, and she's acting like she's never heard of. I mean, she's just at this point, it's very clear that she's playing dumb, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion. So they're not in order, but look, so January 22nd, February 11th, February 16th, February 21st, and then February 16th again, February 16th again, and then February 23rd. Okay, the sizes are not the same. Look how much bigger the file is on the 21st than it was on the 23rd. Okay, why were there 4 different dates? Why was it being opened and tampered with, in my opinion, because that's what it's called when you mess with stuff. It's tampering, textbook definition of tampering. Why is it? It should just be one file, and it should just be open and closing. It shouldn't even have a box that says modified, because you shouldn't be doing anything to it. You catching my drift? Okay, just wanted to point that out. Most places, most people, most would consider that, tampering with evidence, considering that's what this is. Evidence. Okay, now here, once again, you see MP4 video, MP4 video, MP4 video. Now the date converted, those are all the date, the 23rd. So I found it, the reason I did this is because they told Ashley and her family that the guy at wherever the company that did the extracted it from the hard drive or whatever and put it on the flash drive, that he had already converted it because they watched it one time already a few days or however, whenever it was, with Chucky and his mom. So why, when Ashley and her family comes in, did you have to completely stop the whole process and call and have the guy at the tech place remote in, and because you couldn't figure out how to get videos to play. I thought they were all, it was done and done and it was smooth sailing when Chucky watched it. What are you talking about? So, I digress. Look at all these different file sizes. That's crazy though, right? Like, it should just be one file, and then it should just be timestamps. And I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it's not. I'm not buying it. Neither is Ashley, and neither is her dad or her sister or her husband or my husband, and probably most of you guys. However, they expect the general public as a whole, to just, oh well, Alex is on camera walking off, so that's it. That's somebody else's problem. No, 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 boo boo. That is not how this is going to go. Okay, so right here, you see this is the USB drive. It says name, which is going to be the name of the file. You got player, then you have channel, blah blah, which you'll see at the bottom of the timestamps when we play the footage. So that's, the whatever the server is. Then there's player, then there's drop off old format, drop off MP4, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. old format, and 8 p.m. to 1 p.m. new. First of all, why didn't we get to see the old format like Chuck did? And why is there so many different files in the first place? And we didn't get to see 8 to 1. Like, we got to see a clip here, a clip there, a clip here, a clip there. Like, that. But look at the dates as well. 221, 221, 216, 223. You're supposed to obtain integrity and to maintain the chain of custody. Every time that server or any of the evidence on it is messed with at all, you have to log it, and you have to put why you're doing it, when you're doing it, where you're doing it, the time of day, and you have to sign for it. And you can't just be like, oh, in your free time in there just messing with stuff. I mean, you can, but it just, any chance that anything would be admissible in court, that went out the window. The chain of custody. Oh, don't even get me started on chain of custody on this, because that's a whole nother rant. But I digress. What up, Buster? Okay, so right now, you see this Jeep. Now, this ain't a video. This is a still shot that we grabbed off of the video that was literally on the screen for like 2.4 seconds because she clicked off of it so fast because she didn't want Ashley to see it. But this was 5 minutes before Alex gets dropped off, okay? There's a Jeep. There's a car. And somebody just kind of, oh, yeah, well, yeah, well, there's that too.
This next clip starts 5 minutes before Alex gets dropped off at 20:07, 33 8 hours 7 minutes and 33 seconds p.m. And there's no guy walking near the Jeep. Then poof, the timestamp jumps to 20 hours 7 minutes and 56 seconds, and the guy is all of a sudden next to the.
Okay, I'm going to rewind this and play this again in its entirety in a second, but I just want to go give you guys a little bit of a hindsight of how this came about. I had been messing around with the certain filters, like trying to see if I could change the lighting and stuff and see more stuff on the footage. And probably between Ashley and it'll probably at least a good 1,000 times we watched this video, like separately, together, and thought that we had, picked it apart at piece by piece, but we realized that every time we came back and would do it, we would see something we didn't see. And this time I just so happened to, I don't even know why. We were focusing on the Jeep and we were trying to figure out if we could see anything that stood out, like as far as tires, make, model. And I was kind of, I was not looking for this when I stumbled upon it. I was looking at something else, and because of my focus on this, it just caused for me to do a play by play, like frame for frame, on as slow motion as the software that I had would allow me to go. So it was like -10 times speed, slow motion, and I'm like watching it, waiting for the Jeep, because it doesn't stay on the screen long, so that I could screenshot it. And while I'm doing that, I'm like, wait a second, this guy just, who the heck is this, and where'd he come from, and how did we miss this? So I go to that time in the video and I watch it full speed, and I'm like, how did we miss this? And because in full speed you will miss it. Like, even watching for it, you miss it, because that's how brief and how anyways. So I just wanted to put that in there, like, in how that came about. And still don't know who this person is, don't know who was driving the Jeep, don't know anything other than the footage is altered unequivocally based off of this right here. I can tell you 100% without a shadow of doubt, in my opinion, this footage has been altered. Now, I can't say who did it and at what point in the investigation it got altered, but I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, somebody deleted it. And if they did it right here, who's to say there's not more missing? Because if I digress. Let me rewind this a little bit and go back. No, I can tell you they are wearing. You'll see. No, they're I think they're. I'm not gonna say, because I can't say anything, but I don't think it's Chucky, because it looks like Wow, you'll see. Yes, PZ sure did.
This next clip starts 5 minutes before Alex gets dropped off at 20:07, 33 8 hours 7 minutes and 33 seconds p.m. and there's no guy walking near the Jeep. Then poof, the timestamp jumps to 20 hours 7 minutes and 56 seconds, and the guy is all of a sudden next to the Jeep.
Now, either we got a time traveler
The
in
file
Holmes.
sizes are slightly
Sorry, hold on.
different,
Now,
M's, because
now either we got a time traveler right there in the heart of Holmes County, Mississippi, or we got some tampered evidence. And the likelihood that it's this first one, slim to none. So make that make sense. I want to show you guys a couple more times, because as you see, like, he just pops up out of nowhere. Like, watch. I'm gonna play again.
Guy is all of a sudden next to the Jeep.
What kind of shit is that?
the file sizes are slightly different, M's, because one of them is missing 30 milliseconds.
Okay, so what we're looking at here, this is the clip or the file that she opened whenever that clip played, and there's two of everything throughout this whole thing where they tried to make a still shot look like it was a video, and if you pay attention to the timestamps are not moving, but it's playing like it's supposed to be a video. So they tried to convince Ashley that she was looking at live footage when it was just a still shot. So these two things are the same. They're the same file number and everything, but if you look, they are literally slightly different. One is 6.217 megabytes and the other one is 6.220. Well, that's because they clipped out him. How did he get to the Jeep? He didn't just float out of thin air. What? Where did he come from? Where was he going? Who is it? It's convenient. I don't think that they meant to have that much of him showing. I think they messed up and they didn't clip it all the way. But clearly, my point of doing this or saying this, something's been clipped out. And if they went to the extent to do that, I feel like it's something that we should know because if not, it'd be there. Know what I mean? And the fact that it was 5 minutes before Alex gets there and there was no sign of that Jeep when Ashley and Alex got there 5 minutes, who's to say that Jeep isn't over there with all them junk cars over there that looks like a dang salvage yard with the headlights off, waiting for Alex to get there? We can't. We can't say anything for 100% unequivocally. It's possible. Let's keep it going. Easy. Oh, I guaranteed if they were there, they were customers of Chucky. But that's just the way, the name of the game. That's not his that's not where he has his Christmas dinners. That's the trap house, and it's known that the sheriff will tell you that. However, he won't do anything about it because that's what you get when welcome to Holmes County. That's all I can say. I really that I can't even try to. It's just a bunch of fuckery. Okay, now we're at 9:03 p.m. You see the truck back then? Okay, hold on. It's right here. You see the truck back then? He's walking towards it. Where'd the truck come from? Why do we not see the truck pulling in? Who gets out of the truck? Who's still sitting in the truck? This is the next clip after Alex goes out of the gate, and Alex walks out about 8:27. Now there's nothing until this clip, which means the most crucial time, which is when Alex goes out of that gate, is missing. We don't get to see the truck just pulling in, and why is he backed in? That's a very strange thing to do because now his tag is on camera, and usually people in that lifestyle they're going to want to try to keep you from seeing their tag. So why it's what is he doing and who is he? We still don't know. Why do if it's motion, you should have detected the motion when he came in the gate, not after he's already here and as he's leaving. What the heck kind of shit is this? No, I'm not buying it at all. I want an explanation. And because apparently I'm not Tim Ferry and I'm not willing to blow smoke up people's ass to get it to and stroke their ego, I can't get them on the phone to answer my question. Sorry, Ruben, I'm laughing. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Sorry, you guys. Ruben is on the way. He might have walked towards the road, but according to professionals with search dogs, he did not leave the property on foot. That is correct. And also, according to his phone data, that his phone was connected to Chucky's Wi-Fi and still on that property until 9:27 p.m. Okay, we're still at 9:03 p.m. Where's Alex? Who's that in the truck? Why? I got so many questions, and at this point, I I have two clips shared with me posted on my page. I have those as well. One second, let me see. I don't really know. Okay, yeah, we see the truck pull out. I'll keep this queued up and we'll finish it. Ruben is coming, so you guys give him a few minutes. He said he's gonna put it on his TV so he can see it better to try to see if he sees anything that we might have missed. But I'm going to pull up Ashley's channel because these are the only clips that were provided to her by the sheriff's department when she asked. The only reason we know about the other stuff is because of Ashley. The one time she got to see it, anyways, clearly y'all know. So, and it's okay. Hold on, let me show you this first, too, because it's gonna come full circle. I didn't mean that. Okay. So there is a wow. There's been two official news coverages on Alex, and between the two of them, they total to 3 minutes. First one was 2 minutes, and I think the second one is like a minute and 14 seconds. That's all that Sheriff March and the rest of them goons. That's all they felt Alex deserved and was worthy of, you know. So I'm gonna play this one real quick.
Missing persons report on her son Alex after dropping him off at a Pickens residence. It's been a month since Ashley Martin filed a missing persons report on her.
And as you just heard her say, this was a month into him being missing. But I find it interesting because listen to what Sheriff March tells this lady that is, the reporter for Dark Horse Press when he tells her, we've done all we can do. Because you guys know what I know, and we know that they haven't done shiza. So how can you get up there and say that? Well, he does. We're going to listen.
It's been a month since Ashley Martin filed a missing persons report on her son Alex after dropping him off at a Pickens residence. And it's become her life mission now to find out what happened to him.
And I just want him home. I just want him back.
Ashley had just picked 30-year-old Alex up from jail that day. He told her to drop him off at a friend's house, but when she got there, she felt uneasy about the scenery.
That's when I started kind of giving him the business. I was like, where are we? What is this? I was like, Alex, what is this like a chop shop?
She's not heard from her son again, but she feels him, and that's why there's such a sense of dread.
You almost feel their pain and feel their struggles.
After learning how to analyze cell phone data from a law enforcement friend, his mother says she's got a terrible gut feeling. Her data research seems to show Alex on the porch of the friend's home, and then just minutes later, it appears to be still for good.
He ran off the back porch, fell down flat, and the very next phone ping that shows up is at 12:23 a.m. across the street, and this one's a little further out. This is the property where we were. This is where the phone pinged.
Several professional search teams with dogs came in, but after granting them access to the property, the homeowner revoked it. That shut down any outside ability to search the grounds without the sheriff's department's help.
I just took for granted that we were going to have people searching, looking, helping, and to have absolutely none of that is it's indescribable.
Sheriff Willie March says he hopes Alex is simply missing and not worse off. He says the search is actually bigger than it seems.
Missing person report been put out on him, and it's nationwide on the fugitive center, all law enforcement. It should be hitting folks' telephone, we're doing crime stoppers, so we doing all we can do to try to locate him.
In the meantime, Ashley continues the search. On assignment for WLBT in Holmes County, for Dark Horse Press, I'm Therese Apel.
Okay, and this is the most recent one, which was November the 14th of 2023. And it's a minute and 12 seconds. I'm sorry, I gave it 2 more seconds than I should have. I said a minute 14. Minute 12 seconds. I'm sorry.
He said, he came out maybe 2 hours later that he.
The search continues for a Holmes County man who disappeared back in April of 2022. Holmes County Sheriff Willie March says they are still looking for Robert Alex Easterling. Easterling was last seen at his friend's home on Stockyard Rd in Pickens. March says he spoke with Easterling's friends to gather more information on this case. Investigators got a search warrant and gathered a video surveillance from a camera at the home. Sheriff March says Easterling is seen walking along the fence at the top of the screen and says Easterling didn't tell his friend where he was going.
I went down there and talked to the young man that lived at the house. He came out and I asked him, have he saw Eastland? And he told me, yes, he came to his house that night. His mother had dropped him off, said they had a few words. He told me he's gonna go back in the house to get a cigarette. But when he came back out, he said, no, Robert was gone. He said he came out maybe 2 hours later that he had left. And he didn't know just where he went to. He didn't tell him where he was going.
Now, if you have any information regarding Easterling's disappearance, please contact Crime Stoppers.
Okay. So I'm gonna put myself backstage in a second. These are really short. One of them is like a minute, and I think one's 45 seconds. These are the clips that were provided to Ashley by Willie March, Holmes County Sheriff's Department, completely from their server from nothing done to them, nothing edited. This is just the raw clips that they sent in their entirety. And I'll see y'all in about 2 minutes. Now, I want to play this again. I don't want to, I'm going to. And I want you guys to focus on as okay. You see this right here? This is the still frame. This is the okay, you know how when the at the beginning of a video it'll give you like a picture of it or whatever, that the a still frame of the way the video starts. Okay, so this is that, and you see the time, it says 8:12, and about 20 seconds later is when Ashley and Alex pull through. But you see this car. That so as Ashley and them are pulling in, this car's pulling out. Ashley asked Alex, "Who is that?" That's the Edward. That's Chucky's brother. That is the one who was just acting a complete ass on the phone call with Fairy Boy. Very defensive. Okay, so and to say he didn't see him. Well, we seen him. And I also think this is the car that was parked right next to that Jeep. So, what are they doing? Plotting and scheming? I could speculate. I could speculate a whole lot, but I'm not going to. I will in about 2 minutes. I digress. Gonna play it again. Because you don't see this. You don't get to see the car pull out. It jumps, and all of a sudden you see an Ashley and them pulling in. They had an oopsie by this being in the still frame once again. And this is not us having to do anything. This is the sheriff. Holmes County Sheriff sent this to Ashley. They just didn't. They trimmed back. They didn't trim back far enough. But that's twice that was done in the same instance. So something going on at this time with that Jeep and that car and the occupants of it had something to do with Alex and why he's not here anymore, in my opinion. I don't care what that makes me sound like. Call it what you want. I'm just telling you, my gut tells me it, it screams it, and I don't feel that way about anything else or any other scenario. I've kind of had hunches, but there's something about this just doesn't feel right. It's not a coincidence that these events happened in the order, in the sequence that they did. And then they went to the extent that they did to try to cover it up. Not just the heroin dealer, the cops, okay? What the freak? French toast. I digress. See? Okay? Why don't we get to see the car? You see, it just jumps. That's some crazy shit. They're not even trying to make it look discreet. They just don't give a shit if you see it's altered. What are you gonna do about it? And it fucking chaps my ass, man. It really does. Hey, Gen X. Okay, so there's no sound, so it's not that big a deal if I talk over it. So, if I'll rewind it and play it a couple times. This is the second clip, which is the clip of Alex leaving, which that's all they felt that Ashley was, that she was owed was him arriving on the property and to them him leaving because you see him walk out of the gate. However, that is not what I'm going to say happened because I know better. But that's the narrative they're trying to push by doing it. And this is what they released to the public. Yeah, I like you too, girl. If you only knew the half of it. Coincidentally, we don't get to see the car pull up, and it does all that grainy shit, which I don't know why it did that, and it did it for a hot minute, so you really can't see where the boys come from, and it just I don't think any of it's a coincidence, none of it at all. And for this supposed mother of this boy that picking him up, for her to say that she didn't see Alex at all that night when there's no way she had watched him walk and then drove right past him, that's suspicious to me too. Like you would have gotten by with me by just saying, "Yeah, I seen him walking out and leaving towards the gate." But by saying you didn't see him at all makes me very suspicious. Very suspicious. Yeah, so when Ashley said he was on the passenger side, that means he was on the opposite side of the driveway. Like he was on the wrong side than he should have been by driving. He was That's why it stood out to her and she remembers it like because she's like, what the heck? What is he doing? Why is he sitting there like that? Why is he on the wrong side? And Alex said, "Oh, that's just where he sits," or however he worded it, but he told her that it was Chucky's brother. And don't he's pretty much like just, oh, don't worry about him. I don't know if he necessarily said don't worry about him, but he was just like, just shrugged it off, no big deal. That's normal. So, and all he seen was the car, so he knew who he was, recognized the car, and recognized him to sit there, which just so happens to be right in the bird's eye view of the Marathon gas station. So some would say maybe he's the. I mean, I'm not gonna go there. I will, but not right now. We're gonna play this again. This is weird, and this is the only clip that does this with all the like. I don't know what is going on here. Alex didn't look at him at all, and I thought that was a little odd too. Like almost like he went out of his way to not look at him and to not walk past him. Like his body language screams like I ain't fucking with that. And that could just be maybe he didn't know him, or it just seems a little bit more, like he went out of the way. In my opinion, it would have been easier to just walk straight across, but he goes out of the way just to not walk by them and not look at them. And the one keeps looking up at Alex, but not in a way like it just. My gut just tells me that this and the car and that Jeep hold the keys to what happened to Alex and obviously Chucky and Dalton. But I really feel like there's more to this than we're being told. I know there's more to this than we're being told. For a fact. It just is what it is. Yeah, one second. I can let me get the link to the petition. Okay, there's the link to the petition in the chat. The Paupers Field? Oh, that is a whole nother. Okay. Um, the Paupers Field is a. I'm not gonna say cemetery because that would be way more respectful and with way more decency than what is happened here. This is a field behind the Hinds County Jail that they, as in the Hinds County, whatever, whoever is in charge of that stuff, people that are in the morgue and have not been claimed or identified or whatever the case may be, they bury them back there. However, that is not what has happened. That has become a dumping ground for people that are actively being looked for by their loved ones, and their family is not being told that they're being buried. Oh, let me just show you real quick, because that is another thing that is interesting, because there's no, we don't, there's so many people in that field that their families have yet to know that they're there, that you can't say unequivocally without a shadow of a doubt that Alex isn't there, because it's possible. It's not far-fetched, but at the end of the day, it's lower down on my list of probability, but it's on the list, because just because of, crooked being what crooked is. If they, I don't understand why Alex hasn't turned up. If everybody wants me to believe that, oh, he just died of an overdose, then why can't we find him? You don't hide him. Overdosing is not, there would be no reason to hide him. You understand what I'm saying? People are a dime a dozen. They drop like flies. People are overdosing every day there, and they turn up. They always turn up. Why can't we find Alex? Because that whole theory goes through the shit when you find him, and it's not a drug overdose, and it's something else. And that's the only thing that makes sense of why he has not been found. And it's not due to lack of being looked for, because what the police are not doing, Ashley has done, and then some. If it's a possibility, she's been out there with her dang muck boots on and just. Where is he? Why hide him? Make it make sense. Okay, we're gonna watch this because it's. I think it all. Yeah, there's not enough hours in the day, days of the week, and months of the year. If I went live every day for 2 hours a day and just started with one topic or one situation and worked my way across the other, I would be doing it probably for the rest of my life, and it wouldn't even put a dent on what is happening in Mississippi as an entirety. I couldn't even narrow it down to the Mississippi Delta. It is so out of control. It overwhelms me just even thinking about it, because it is crazy to think that is, it's almost like a third world country, the wild, wild west. I've never in my life seen anything like the things that go on there and are just normal. And it's heartbreaking. It really is, because what Mississippi needs a miracle. And little old me is not gonna do it, but I don't mind sitting up here and trying. But I know I'm not gonna sit here and say that I know that I know there's, I'm not even gonna make a dent on it. But just being aware of it, it It's bad. But here's the Coppersfield, I guess would be the respectful way to say it, but unfortunately, there was no respect considered when they decided to do this shit.
Those individuals span all ages and demographics and were buried for different reasons. The information is contained. Those individuals span all ages and demographics and were buried for different reasons. The information is contained in 2 volumes at the Hinds County Detention Center, a logbook with handwritten information on bodies, and a second binder with request for burials signed off on by the Board of Supervisors. Requests were submitted to the board by Hinds County Coroner Sharon Grisham Stewart. Well, you can read the names of those who are buried in this story at WLBT.com.
Pauper Cemetery in Hinds County has been in Troy, the Pauper Cemetery in Hinds County has been in the spotlight for months, and in that time, we've learned of 3 people who've been buried there without their family's knowledge. There are 672 names in the 14-page logbook. The log is handwritten and lists the names of the person, their age and birthday, as well as death date, burial. People are buried in the pauper's grave for several reasons, including when families can't afford to lay their loved one to rest or the person goes unclaimed. The Hinds County Pauper Cemetery has been in the spotlight for months. It comes after Betterstein Wade of Jackson learned her son, Dexter Wade, was buried there for months and was never told after she reported him missing back in March. Dexter Wade's case led to 2 other mothers learning their sons were also buried there. The mothers of Jonathan Hankins and Mario Moore, along with Dexter Wade's mother, spoke last week about what they've experienced. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing those families and is vowing to help others who think they have a loved one buried in the pauper's field.
I promise you, Attorney Sweet and I are going to try to identify all 672 of those individuals buried behind that jail. And hopefully any other family out there whose loved one is missing in Jackson, Mississippi, should contact us immediately.
The Pauper Cemetery list goes back to at least 2008. This year alone, about a dozen people have been buried in the cemetery, including Dexter Wade and Mario Moore. Hankins was buried in 2022. Attorney Ben Crump is calling for transparencies with officials to help get these families answers. For now, I'm live in Raymond. Kennedy Cooper 16, WABT News.
In this eye-opening video entitled Unmasking the Shadows, Exposing Corruption in Local Police and Judiciary Departments, we delve deep into the pervasive issue of corruption within these crucial institutions. Through extensive research and first-hand accounts, we shed light on the dark underbelly of several different police and judiciary departments. Let's uncover the shocking reality of widespread corruption that jeopardizes the very fabric of justice in our society. As we unearth the truth, we explore the various forms of misconduct, bribery, and unethical practices that have infiltrated these departments, compromising their integrity and the rights of citizens. Through compelling interviews and compelling evidence, this video aims to raise awareness and encourage much-needed reforms within these institutions. It is my fervent belief that exposing such corruption is the first step towards restoring trust in the police and judiciary, ensuring a fair and just system for all. By engaging in candid discussions and showcasing real-life stories, we unveil the consequences of corrupt practices on innocent lives and the ripple effects on our society as a whole. Moreover, we examine the factors that enable such misconduct to persist, including the lack of transparency, accountability, and oversight. With this thought-provoking video, I encourage viewers to reflect on the substantial implications of corruption within our local police and judiciary departments. It is only by acknowledging the problem and demanding change that we can strive towards a more equitable and unbiased system that truly serves and protects every member of society.
1. Incident occurrence. An incident involving excessive use of force by a police officer occurs during an arrest or confrontation with a citizen. This incident may be captured on video by a bystander or security camera. 2. Initial internal knowledge. The incident comes to the attention of fellow officers who were present or learned about it. Instead of reporting the misconduct to higher authorities, there is a decision among these officers to keep the incident within the department to protect their colleague. 3. Suppression of evidence. To prevent the incident from gaining public attention, officers involved may attempt to suppress evidence. This could involve confiscating or tampering with the video footage, intimidating witnesses, or manipulating incident reports to downplay the severity of the misconduct. 4. Lack of accountability. With the cover-up in place, there is a lack of accountability within the police department. The officer responsible for the misconduct faces no consequences for their actions, and the issue remains hidden from external scrutiny. 5. Impact on trust. The cover-up erodes public trust in the police force, as citizens are unaware of the misconduct and the lack of accountability. This lack of transparency can lead to increased skepticism, resentment, and a strained relationship between law enforcement and the community.
In a heart-wrenching journey, Dettison Wade, a retired Nissan line technician and part-time home health aide, endured 7 months of searching for her son, Dexter Wade. After he went missing on March 5, the search led her to a grim discovery at the Hinds County Penal Farm, where Dexter, 37, had been buried in a pauper's field after being fatally struck by a Jackson police car on the night he disappeared. The unfolding tragedy revealed Dexter's complex life, marked by childhood dreams, detours into criminal activities in his teens, and a resilient spirit despite serving prison sentences. A dedicated father to 2 daughters, Dexter struggled with mental health issues after his release from prison, diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. On March 5, following an argument with his mother, Dexter left home and never returned. Dettison reported him missing on March 14, facing internal conflict due to her distrust in the police, exacerbated by the unresolved death of her brother in 2019 involving a Jackson officer. Despite her persistent efforts, the police provided no updates. Unbeknownst to Dettison, Dexter's tragic fate was known to the police. He had been struck by a police cruiser on Interstate 55, suffering severe injuries and eventually succumbing to head trauma. The police, aware of Dexter's identity, failed to inform Dettison promptly, leaving her searching for months. The revelation of Dexter's burial in a pauper's field added another layer of anguish. Despite her relentless efforts, including a $250 fee to claim Dexter's body, Dettison faced the challenging task of finding the financial means to move him to a proper grave. The emotional toll culminated in a visit to Dexter's burial site, where she tearfully expressed love, apologies, and farewells. As Dettison navigates the complexities of grief and logistics, questions linger about the police's handling of Dexter's case, raising concerns of potential motives and leaving his family grappling with the need for answers and accountability. The journey continues as Dettison strives to honor her son's memory with a dignified final resting place. A mother's unwavering love knows no bounds.
An investigation by a CNN affiliate has revealed Jackson, Mississippi's police department did not publicly disclose the names of dozens of homicide victims this year. We recently told you about Dexter Wade, a man in Mississippi who was hit and killed by a Jackson Police Department vehicle and buried without his family's knowledge. Wade's mother told me about when police finally contacted her about her son months later.
Well, when they first called me and said we found Dexter, I said, oh Lord, let him be okay. So I said, where he at or what's, going on with him? She said, well, I'll let Officer Gerard come out there and talk to you. And right then, when she said that, it's just, my heart dropped because I knew, I just knew that he was deceased.
New reporting by CNN affiliate WLBT has now revealed a similar case. 40-year-old Mario Moore was killed in February, buried in the same pauper's field where Dexter Wade was buried. Moore's family did not find out about his death until October, after seeing his name in WLBT's reporting on more than 20 homicide victims that Jackson police did not disclose to the public. Joining me now is the investigative reporter who brought this to light, CJ LeMaster, with CNN's affiliate there in Jackson.
I'm going to finish playing this, but I want to make sure that you guys understand what Ashley just said. And I think irony is a very, very, very polite and respectful word, but Ashley wouldn't be Ashley if she did that. But the irony is that that graveyard is right behind the jail that Alex was in for 60 days. He disappeared the day he was released from that jail. Now, does one have to do with the other? I don't know. It's not far-fetched. If you guys were here yesterday, I started out the stream by playing the call when Ashley called the arresting officer to try to get an understanding of what took place when they got pulled over and Alex got arrested. That was sketch. That was so sketch. The guy, I mean, he was more cooperative than Willie, but that doesn't say much. The way that they do things there is just not right. He couldn't tell her what drugs they had on them, how much, just that they don't do that. They don't weigh it. They don't do. What are you talking about? So that means you don't convict people with drugs because you can't take a case in front of a judge and say, yeah, he had a question mark amount of drugs and we don't even know what drug it was. It might have been this, might have been that. That's why everybody's getting shit thrown out because police are not doing their part. What are you talking about? You don't weigh it. It's your fucking job to know how much. You better know what it is, and if not, you better send that shit to the lab and fucking find out. The fuck are you talking about? I don't know. They're just real comfortable with saying, I don't know, and I don't like it. It makes me fucking mad. I digress. You don't know, then you better get to figuring it out. That's what I'd like to say, but that's just how they operate as a... It's disgusting, is what it is. Because I've seen police work whenever it's done right, and it's night and day. I thank God almost every day because of I have a newfound appreciation for where I live in the sheriff's department that represents where I live. Grady Judd don't fucking play in none of this. Oh boy, it's just laughable because it's no way, not in my county. That's what he would say, and it makes me sad for people like Ashley and people like Alex and people that didn't stand a chance. Because to them, they're just another statistic. It is what it is. What do you expect from Holmes County? Well, maybe we should start expecting more. How about that? Scroungy fucks. I digress.
CJ, good to see you. This is, I want to say unbelievable, but not. It is heartbreaking. Tell us this story, because unlike Dexter Wade, who was killed by an off-duty officer, this man, Mr. Moore, was found dead and then reported to police. What's his story?
So what happened here is a situation where he was killed by blunt force trauma. That's what we know. He was found wrapped in a tarp on a street in the western part of the city. And at that point, police claimed they did not. There were conflicting reports as to whether there was even ID found on him, but suffice it to say, it took some time for them to identify him. But at that point, all we know from the captain who was in charge of detectives for the department, he told us in an interview that essentially they sent a detective to a home that they found in connection with Moore. They left a card, and that was it. There was no follow-up. We pressed the captain for this in one of our interviews, and he didn't really have any explanation. He said, well, that is sufficient. Now, we know now that since all this had happened, since NBC and other national news agencies have picked up the story as well, that now the city of Jackson, the police department, for the first time has a death notification.
TZ, are you talking about the Holmes County Sheriff, or are you talking about Hinds County? Because those are two different counties. But I know I heard out of his own mouth, I heard the Holmes County Sheriff, Mr. Willie March, refer to Alex as, in my opinion, a very derogatory and um, just racist way that he referred to him. And I don't know if he spoke to him directly that way, but I know that he spoke about him that way after he was gone, which is worse. Hinds County is a hot mess. So is Holmes County. Mississippi is a hot mess. I'm just gonna say it. Okay? A white hobo. That's what he referred to him as. He wasn't homeless. That's what he referred to him after he was gone missing. But according to Sheriff March, he's known since day one. He's gone, 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 and you ain't never gonna find him. His exact words, and I quote. Really. And these people, these and the younger you get generation wise, the worse it gets. But these people, these goons, I'm just gonna call them for what it is. They have no value of human life. They're out there just popping caps in each other because they looked at each other sideways or because they wearing the wrong color. It is absolutely asinine, the shit that is happening in Mississippi. And I cannot remember his name for the life of me. But I was talking to my dad about a month, no, it's been more than a month ago, about this whole situation. And my dad told me this story about someone that he met in a halfway house, and because my dad is a ordained minister now, and he does like counseling for people for inmates that are transitioning back into society, blah blah blah. So he told me that he had caught some charges or something and was about to get out or whatever, and he had to come and do his time in Florida, kind of like the white boy Rick situation, if y'all are familiar with that story. He caught charges in prison or whatever, and because they were the deal, whatever it was that they did that was illegal, was done in Florida. So whenever they finished their time in whatever prison state they were in, obviously this guy Mississippi, they got shipped to Florida and had to do the rest of their time there. So my dad told me this story, and this guy is also a ordained minister now, but he's from Mississippi, and my dad said that his story was like, there's not much that gives him like a shock factor, because he's seen a lot. He's been to several different prisons and heard a lot and seen a lot, and that this guy's story or his testimony is what he called it, just kind of brought him to his knees and made him realize like, I thought that I had a bad run, but I didn't have nothing on this guy. And look, he's in he recommended for me to go listen to it. well, when I listened to it and I realized I was like hearing familiar places like that I've heard Ashley mention and stuff, like not Holmes County, but it was Rankin County and Hines County, and but just getting a feel for what it's like to be a young white male without a father figure in Mississippi in the time period that Alex would be coming up and this guy coming up, you don't it the odds are so stacked against you. It is it's very disheartening. Yes, 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 Ashley, the Simon City Royals guy. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't realize that until after I talked to you know who. Yeah, I just started putting the pieces together. Isn't that funny how things work out? Ruben was just asking me the other day if I felt like there was a reason I got drawn to this case, and every time I start having these little coincidences, I think more and more that it's definitely something divine. Because what are the odds of that? You know, like really, what are the odds of that? One in a million bajillion, and that happens all the time. That's what Sheriff March said, PZ. They done took your boy away from here. He's gone, 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 and you ain't never gonna find him. That's what he told Mr. Easterling, Robert, Ashley's dad. That's what he told him. I think it would do. And this is something that I just so happen to be really passionate about because of my experiences and my dad and being a daughter of an addict and a niece of an addict and a cousin of an addict. That comes with its own stigma in itself. So I almost feel like I can help people by shedding light on how things made me feel then, and now being more mature now, how I know that's not the case, and maybe I could stop somebody else that's in that same spot of blaming themselves or feeling helpless, and just let them know that it's not your fault and that you have no control over it and it is a disease. And also to let the person that could be still struggling with addiction out there know that it's not something that they are doing because they want to, and nobody wakes up and wants to be an addict. There's so many different things that go into it and how it gets to where they are, which is rock bottom. It's where it always leads. But they don't have to feel, just all of those things that come with it, like unworthy and, just hopeless and, all the things that push them to keep getting high, which is why they were there in the first place. And it creates a very vicious cycle, and a lot of people don't get out. And thank God for the ones that do. And it's not because of luck or miracle. It takes dedication, hard work, and honestly just takes a mindset of really, really wanting to be clean and meaning it. And that's really all it takes. It doesn't take this crazy expensive treatment. It helps, but my dad got his treatment in prison, and I promise you there was nothing 5-star about it. However, it forced him to sit down and do it. He didn't have the option to voluntarily walk out and leave, and that's what it took. However, it was his 5th time to prison, and but better late than never. That's he did it, and that's all that matters. You have to start somewhere. Why not today? Don't say tomorrow, because tomorrow will never come as long as you do that. Oh, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. No, how about today? That's all. You don't have to conquer it today. You just have to start. That's it. And the 12-step program is I'll keep my comments to myself about that. Ugh. What is his name? Okay, here he is. No way. Sorry, you guys. I didn't know that. He has his own channel now. That's cool. Have to check him out. Alright, I'm gonna play this.
A while ago now, there was a pretty high profile arrest of a West Side gang leader by the name of Batman on the street. His name was there were two separate gangs that actually joined up to become the Simon City Royals. One was from the West Side. It's pretty much all. I mean, you see sometimes metamorphosis.
There he is.
I'm not sure how much in force that is today. I couldn't give you 100%, but apparently it's a lot more in force than it is here in Chicago. So when they have prosecutions or when they have cases outside of Chicago, sometimes feds from these guys, and there were particular guys in.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Benny Ivy. I'm 42 years old and was raised between Jackson and Rankin County my entire life. God put it on my heart to record this video and tell y'all a little story about my life. For those of you who are struggling in addiction, caught up in them gangs, caught up in that street life, and you don't think there's a way out, I'm here to tell you that there is. I'm living proof of it. From kicking doors in to robbing crack dealers with baseball bats at 15, that's the life that I knew as a kid. I spent my juvenile years in detention centers, a couple trips to training school, and I became more and more infatuated with the gang member lifestyle, the gang member mentality. I guess I was searching for that sense of belonging and brotherhood that I thought I saw there. And in Jackson, back in those days, all the kids, black or white, screamed gangster disciple or vice lord. It was the cool thing to do, and it was everywhere you turned, and I grabbed hold of that mindset and held it for most of my life. A gang.
Now I am gonna say this, I'm gonna say this very briefly, and I'm not gonna say anything else about it, and I'm only gonna say this one time. Chucky is in the Gangster Disciples. So not saying that anything has to do with the other. I'm just saying it is what it is. Right? Right.
Member and a drug addict. Well, by the time I was 18, I started shooting dope. Crystal meth put me in a stranglehold and held me that way till I was 34 years old. It dominated my life. I might as well have gotten on my knees and worshiped the stuff. All that garbage, man. Meth, coke, heroin, benzos, opiates. All that garbage was put here by the devil himself to kill, steal, and destroy. That's all there is to it, man. It dominates your life, makes you a slave to it, period. Anyway, by the time I was 21, I caught my first felony as an adult. I got in a drunken rage at a Super Bowl party and beat a guy unrecognizable. Well, soon after that, in 97, I witnessed my best friend commit suicide with a pistol that we stole that morning. I jumped in the bed and cradled him in my lap until the police and ambulance got there. I was covered in blood. The bed was covered in blood. There was so much blood it soaked through the mattress to the box spring below. They pulled me out of the bed when they got there and did a gunshot residue test on everybody to make sure that nobody else had fired a weapon. And I was bad enough before that happened, right? But when he died that day, man, I was traumatized. I hit the streets like a juggernaut. I didn't care what happened to me anymore. I didn't care about nothing anymore. I kicked doors in, didn't care if anybody was home. I robbed people in broad daylight. Just nothing mattered to me anymore. So soon after that, my prison cycle began. I caught burglary charges in Hines and Rankin County, and I began to do time as an adult. Well, my first stretch was 2 years, and it was a stretch of time in which I became familiar with and was blessed into a gang called the Simon City Royals. Well, back then, the Simon City Royals was united with the Gangster Disciples under the 6-Point Star. I hear all that's changed now, but that's how Royal originated in Mississippi, right? Well, I immediately began to cram as much gang lit as I could into my mind. I memorized 50 pages of Simon City Royal literature my first month as a Royal. Because from the beginning, I wanted to gain rank. I wanted notoriety. I wanted to be respected by my peers and known as a leader. Because let's face it, man, all I ever knew was the street life, right? So that's as high as my ambitions reached. A gang leader and a drug addict.
He was in charge of a particular chapter of Royals down there, and he's become one of the most well-known members of the Royals outside of Chicago because he actually left the gang life. Okay, he gave all that stuff up, and he turned his life around. He was addicted to drugs. He was, in and out.
For drugs, for shooting, for whatever. But if you would remove them from that prison and put them out here in the world, they take their shirt off and give it to somebody. Where you got people that ain't never been to jail, that go to church every Sunday, that point fingers and are condescending and that are mean and that are judgmental. So you can't say just because somebody committed crimes and they're in prison, they're just a horrible person. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I know some guys in there that would lay down their life for somebody.
More likely to.
More
than
likely
the average
to.
person.
That's
yeah.
right. Yep. That's a fact.
Mississippi.
This is just sad. What more can I say? These homes and businesses are abandoned. Crime is at an all-time high here in Jackson, and it's sad. They need help here in the U.S. and in Jackson, no doubt. So let me make my drive 15 minutes away to meet up with Benny, and I'm excited to share his story with you today.
In 900 feet, turn right on Wisteria Drive, then turn right.
What these were investigation photos. They told me I could use them with my ministry. There's me in the front. See how they got the names on everybody? That's because they was pinpointing who everybody was.
Now, where did these photos originally come from?
These, so back in 2008, we were having big meetings. I was the highest ranking Simon City Royal around here, and we'd have big meetings in Jackson and out at the reservoir over on the other side of Brandon, and so that's something I was never completely clear at. Was there an undercover officer at these meetings taking pictures, or was these given to the police by somebody at the meeting?
It looks like people are looking at the person with the camera, right?
Right, that's right. And so that's how we had about 100. I think we had 150 Royals on docket on the roster back then.
And I'm just trying to make out
There's
the
me right
age,
here.
the age of the average person here.
The age anywhere from 20 to 40.
Okay.
So back then, I think I was 32, and everybody around me was, around a little younger, up to my age. There were a couple guys that were older.
Where did, I guess, crime begin?
It began at home for me.
And at what age?
Probably 10. So I was raised, my mother, my father, my uncles, my aunts, all of them were drug addicts. So myself and my cousin Angel, we lived with my grandmother until we were like 9 or 10, because she kept us shielded from all that other stuff. And she died of a heart attack when I was either 9 or 10, and when that happened, I moved in with my parents. I stayed solely with my parents. And so from that moment forward, drugs weren't hidden anymore. I was 11 years old the first time I saw somebody stick a needle in their arm.
Right. And that was inside your parents' home?
Yeah, I was in the bathroom, using the bathroom, and my uncle come barging in the bathroom on me, told me to turn my head. And I mean, I turned my head, but I'm watching,
Yeah.
you know,
Curious.
I watched him pull his spoon, pulled his dope out, and mixed him up a shot right there next to me and did it, splashed water on his face and went back out the door. And that's the first time I ever seen anything like that. But from that day forward, that was normal life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, it was just, that's just how you live. By the time I was 12, I got introduced to gangs.
Now, who was there a person that introduced you, or it just happened?
It's just the area I was from in Jackson. You were either gangster, you was vice lord. You know, it's just one of those things. It's the cool thing to do. You remember that old movie way back in the day, Colors?
Yes.
When that movie come out, and I was living the life that I lived at home, I saw the brotherhood between those Crips and those Bloods on that movie, and I wanted some type of security and stability in my life at my back. My parents loved me. There's not a doubt. They're both gone now, and I still love them. They've always been my mom and daddy. I don't care how I was raised. But when you're living in an environment,
Hey, Mark, respectfully, go fuck yourself. I'm not even gonna say. Because the fact that you are in here right now saying that, you know, you might just be as bad as your brother after all. Why is he here? Because he's a piece of shit. That's why. I don't care if there's 500 people listening or if there's 5 people listening. 5 people are here because they want to be here, and this could save somebody's life, something you know nothing about because you're too busy making people's lives harder, you piece of shit. Why don't you go take a long walk off a short pier? Heard you couldn't swim. Now, respectfully, fuck off. He's just here to try to distract and get a reaction out of me and get a rise out of me so that, you know, I act an ass. So somebody with a wrench, please just get rid of him. And like where he can't come back because he's got no business here. None at all.
like that at home, there's a disconnect somewhere. And I was looking for something that made me feel connected. And so that started on that mentality.
Oh no, he's implying because there was more people watching the stream on Rumble when we were talking about his brother and him, you know, that then implying that this isn't interesting and nobody cares about this. But yet he managed to find himself here. So what does that say? Oh, just when you think no, you're not gonna do it. You, my friend, do not get to do that. No, you don't. However, I'm gonna mute and I'm gonna say how I really feel because it's not worthy of my time publicly. Like, you're not even the half-ass liked brother. You're just a nobody. Like a nobody in real life. That's gotta suck. And I just want to redirect us back to this because I know that he did what he intended it to do and distract. But this man's story really, really touched me and moved me. And I just find it really, really shitty that he came in here and said that right now when we're talking about what we're talking about. I'm not surprised, however, I'll be back.
Somebody had my back. My parents loved me. There's not a doubt. They're both gone now, and I still love them. They've always been my mom and daddy. I don't care how I was raised. But when you're living in an environment like that at home, there's a disconnect somewhere. And I was looking for something that made me feel connected. And so that started on that mentality of wanting to be in a gang, wanting to be in a brotherhood, wanting to be in a group of people like me that accepted me and that loved me and that had my back. And so that started when I was about 12. When I was 15, I quit school and I rode around town with my uncle and my brother, and my two uncles and my brother. And we broke into houses, robbed drug dealers, stole anything.
Yeah, Ashley, you did. Mark came in here and said, mute it. No one cares about this. Your struck restream of my sister Fairy content last night had 5 times the amount of people watching. Yeah. Or somebody's, cousin or brother or sister's grandma to call, and as far as I'm concerned, he can go take a long walk off the short pier and just choke on all them hot dogs on the way down. It would honestly. Thank you for stopping by, Ellen. Always good to see you. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you, Buster. Yeah, it really just not gonna let it. He's just trying to distract, and he doesn't get to do that. I mean, he can try, but how does that feel? That's gotta suck to come into my stream and get timed out by Buster. Say that out loud. Oh man, the times have changed. I'm sorry. I just appreciate the irony, and it's the little things. That's gotta be salty. No pun intended. All right, I digress.
Anything that wasn't tied down so that my family could smoke crack every night. So at 15, instead of going to school, I was riding around with my family hitting licks. That's what they call it. We're going to hit licks, and that's the first time I smoked crack. I smoked it with my parents. By the time I was 16, I tried meth for the first time, and that was it.
That's when an addiction began.
That's when my real addiction began, right? Okay. I was a meth addict. Shoot, from then until I got clean at 35 years old. Normal people have ambitions to be things in life, like doctors, lawyers, you name it. Police officers, fire departments. Firefighters. Coming up, my ambition was to be a drug dealer and a gang leader, because that's the environment that I live in. And that's why there's a stigma that people label on people who are committing crimes and doing drugs and stuff. You're just a junkie, you're just white trash, or you're just this, you're just that. But 9 times out of 10, there's a backstory there. You know what I mean? When it comes to me, I didn't know any other life. I had no idea. I didn't know how to. My dad was a carpenter, and he built cabinets, and he's probably one of the best carpenters I ever knew to this day. But he was a drug addict, so every penny that he made was spent on crack. I think one of the last times I saw him before I went to prison one time was I went to his hotel room at 7 o'clock in the morning when he was getting ready for work, and he was pouring whiskey in his coffee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't learn a lot of the basic life skills from my family. I didn't know how to pay bills because they didn't pay bills. Every 3 months, we'd move from place to place because they would get utilities cut on in somebody's name. The lights get cut off. We'd hook it up illegally. They'd take the meter. They had ways to turn the lights on without the meter being in the box. And then they cut us from the pole. Every time they cut us from the light pole, it's time for us to move. I had a buddy of mine was my best friend. And we were just doing drugs together every day. And we went one morning and broke into a house and stole a gun. Took it back to the place I was living at. And I hid it up under my pillow in my bedroom. And he was going through some stuff with his girl with his baby's mother, and he ate a bunch of Xanaxes the night before, so he was out of his mind a little bit. She left him, told him he'd never see the baby again, and he asked if he could write a letter to his little boy that day. And so I got up, I got him some paper and let him write his letter, and I was asking him, why, you know, your son's, I think his son was 14 months old at that time. I said, he can't read it. He said, man, he'll read it one day. And I just didn't put two and two together.
Right.
And I got up and left the living room. He went to go lay down in my bed, and he went there and took the gun out from under my pillow. When I come back through the house, I saw him sitting on the edge of the bed with the gun, and he shot himself. I feel like that day, so I was already doing bad, right? I mean, I was raised that way. It's just all I knew. But that day, I was really on a downward spiral after that. You know, that was my brother. I loved him. And so from that day forward, it was even worse the way I lived my life. I would kick doors in broad daylight, run up on somebody on a corner, put a gun in their face, take what they got. I didn't care about life. I didn't care if I got killed. And that's when I feel like God stepped in and picked me up and got me off the streets for a minute. I caught a couple burglary charges in Jackson, had the aggravated assault charge I'd bonded out on, so that came back to haunt me. But what that did was started my penitentiary cycle. So I did a couple years, got out, stayed out. I might have stayed out 6 months. I don't think I was out that long. I went back on a probation violation, did 3 more years, got back out, stayed out a few more months, caught a manufacturing crystal meth charge, went back in for another 5 years. And every time I did these prison sentences, I never not once thought, oh, I'm done with this life. You know, never once did I.
Just can't wait to get out.
Can't wait to get out. I'm already got it set up where I got me an ounce of meth waiting on me, or whatever the case may be. And that's the only thing I had my mind on. I wasn't in there trying to better myself. I wasn't trying to rehabilitate myself. But if I was, though, it wouldn't have mattered, because Mississippi Department of Correction at that time had 0 rehabilitation. None. When I say I went to prison the first time and I got out the second time, I got caught cooking crystal meth because I learned from people in prison. You know, I learned more in there than I did on the streets.
Right.
So I was in and out of prison, and then I got out in 2008. Right before I got out, I had started coordinating all these pictures I just showed you. I started coordinating. I wanted to bring, so in prison I ran whatever building I was in. I was the highest ranking Simon Cedar Royal in whatever camp I ended up. If I ended up in another prison, I was the highest ranking Royal in that prison. So I wanted to continue that when I got out. So I got a cell phone. I started making connections. By the time I got out in 2008, I had a first lieutenant, a second lieutenant, chief enforcer, an entire enforcer department, which we actually put them in place when I got out, our enforcers. And I actually put structure on the streets. I had this guy out in deep off in Rankin County I used to get ice from, so I was selling dope and running an organization. And then a few months in, I had caught wind that the Richland Police Department had my name, and they were investigating us. So I told everybody, stay out of Richland. And I was going to Raleigh, Mississippi, out in the country, stay at my father's house, to lay low. Well, while I was gone, there was a verbal altercation on the phone, and my whole enforcer department went to Richland to jump on some guys in a trailer park. Got ambushed by the police, arrested all of them with $1.5 million bonds for gang activity, and a bunch of them signed statements on me. Now, the statements they signed didn't have any solid evidence or nothing. They just pretty much told them who I am, what my rank was. They told them that, you know, I sold drugs. So whenever the police came to me, in the beginning, I was on probation. My probation officer come to me and he locked me up for probation violation. And he told me that, you know, you got some really important people watching you, and we need to get you off the streets because you're just going back to prison. Well, as soon as I get to the prison, this lieutenant from Richland Police Department and 2 feds from Chicago came and interrogated me. They told me where I got my drugs from. They told me how much I paid for it, how much I fronted it out to, who I fronted it out to. They told me outfits that I wore when I went to the dope man house. They told me everybody in my entire structure. They told me all my ranking officers. They had pictures. They showed me pictures of a wall in the jail that is like a family tree of photos with an 8x10 picture of me at the top.
Almost like a movie. When I watch
Yeah.
movies, this is what happens.
That's what it was like, man, and it was crazy. But one thing, I'm not dumb, you know what I mean? And one thing I picked up on whenever they were talking to me was they were wanting me to tell on myself. You know, and in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if you're in here investigating me, asking me all these questions, wanting me to tell on myself, then what kind of real evidence do you have on me other than some people signing statements and saying this stuff?
Right.
So I didn't talk to him. I told him, man, look, y'all just gonna have to do what you do. I had 9 months to do on a probation violation, and so they left. I went back to my zone, and from that moment forward, when I was in the prison, I just knew.
Eddie, I am on YouTube. I'm just being petty because you know my I didn't get struck, and so I just had to, you know. I need to stream them both on Rumble anyway. I don't know why I stopped doing that. So I was just being petty, you know, so that Smarkles knows like you have done nothing. I don't know what makes him assume that, but please, I hope he doesn't think because I privated that stream that I got struck, because that would mean that he's just as dumb as I thought he was, which wouldn't surprise me. Anyways, back to business. Hee hee hee.
That when I get out, they're gonna have a hold on me. That whole little situation happening to me, though, created a big distrust in me for the whole organization, you know, because the information that the police told me was stuff that only people in my inner circle could have known. It not just regular standing members and stuff. This had to come from people that really, really knew me.
Really close, right?
And so I decided right then and there, I'm through with this. You know, and being something that I lived my life for, like, so I was royal for a long time. And so whenever I first started going to prison, so in Mississippi, there's some, in prison, there's some, when it comes to gangsters, you got black gangster disciples, and then you got Simon C. Rolls, right? Well, when I first went to prison, I converted to Simon C. Roll. There's still racial tension, you know. There were some black gangsters that didn't like, you can't be a white and do this, you can't be white and do that. So I converted to Simon C. Roll, and from that moment forward, I started building my name in that organization. So I was royal for a long time. So when I decided I was going to step back, I was going to retire, it was heartbreaking. You know, it was, there was a void. I felt like there was a void left in me. So, but I turned in I shot a scroll to the board in that prison, told them I turned in my flag, I want to retire. They said no problem. Everybody knew who I was. They knew what was going down on me. I was under federal investigation anyway. So I couldn't even participate in anything, especially in prison with cameras everywhere. So I was trying to lay low, so I retired. I did that 9 months on a probation violation, and they didn't put a hold on me. So that right there told me they didn't have evidence to charge me with anything. So when I left prison, it was April of 2009, I think. I was no longer Simon C. Royal, but I was still a drug addict. That's something that I've had all my life.
What was the next step?
So when I got out of prison, after I retired from the organization, I was no longer an organization member or a gang member, is what the public says, but I was still a drug addict. And not only was I a drug addict, I had this void that I felt inside me that, you know, I had like a big piece of me was gone because I'd been a part of that organization for so long, you know, and I felt betrayed, I was mad, I was sad, all them things that come with it. And so I just hit the streets doing dope. You know, in prison I learned how to tattoo, so I could tattoo real good back then. And so we'd have tattoo parties, and I'd tattoo for dope. You know, I'd go from place to place, staying on people's couches. I stayed obliterated with meth, like all day, every day. That's all I did. All of 2009, all of 2010. November 23rd of 2010, I got locked up again for a dope charge. But you know, this is one of those things where, you know, they say God works in mysterious ways. This is one of those things that I know was a God moment. That I can actually go back and pinpoint throughout my life now. You know what I mean? So this is the first time I got locked up for something that wasn't mine. Every time I got locked up, every time I went to prison, they had me dead to the right. Well, this time, just a little short backstory on it. Me and a buddy of mine, so I was in Jackson doing tattoos all night. We was all on meth, speeding. And the next morning about 6 o'clock, my buddy's girlfriend, he was gone. And she come in there and asked me and another buddy of mine to give her a ride to Rankin County to pick a girl up. I'm going to say girl 1 and girl 2. So we take her. We didn't know all night these two had been making a drug deal over the phone. And we also didn't know that girl 1, who was with us, she was, and these two girls knew each other for a long time. Well, girl 1 was ripping her off, selling her rock salt, passing it off as meth. Girl 2 was wearing a wire on girl 1 to set her up with the police.
Right.
So me and my buddy, we take her, we get to Rankin County. Girl 1 gets out, goes inside, they do their transfer, come back outside, get in the truck. And when we pull out of the neighborhood, we get ambushed by Rankin County Sheriff's Departments. They snatch me out the truck, throw me in the grass, put their hands behind my back. They're high-fiving each other on the side of the road because I'm in the truck.
Right.
And at this point, I don't know what's going on because there's a saying around here. So that's Jackson. Jackson is Hinds County. This is Rankin County. And in Rankin County, the police are way tougher than in Jackson. So there's always a saying that if you leave Jackson going into Rankin, you ain't thinking. That's something we've always lived by. You don't take dope into Rankin County.
Right.
So we're on the side of the road. I'm in the grass on my stomach. They're high-fiving. We don't know what's going on. They take us down to the jail, and they book me in. Everybody in the truck. It was me, my buddy, and girl 1. So they booked us all in. And so now I know what I'm charged with, but I still don't know what in the world is going on. Because I knew I didn't have no dope. I knew that my guy with me didn't have no dope. And I figured the girl that was with us didn't have no dope because you know better than to take dope into Rankin County. But they booked us in, and I went to the zone. And at this time, I'd been in that jail. I done spent so much time in that county jail. When I got clean and got my life together when I was 39 years old, I got my driver's license for the first time ever. And I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, so I had to get online and do the vital statistics to order me a birth certificate. And when you do that, they ask you security questions. You know, and of the security questions, it's a multiple choice answer. And there's only one answer on there that is applicable for you.
Right.
Right? And one of the questions on there for me was, of the following addresses, which one have you lived at most in your life? And my answer was 221 North Timber Street, Rankin County Jail. So as of that point in time, in my entire life, when it come to the vital statistics records of the country, my most commonly lived address was Rankin County Jail. So that tells you how much time I've done in that jail. Well, I went to my zone. They put me in my bed. They put me in my cell. It was at the very top of the steps on the second story, and I got straight in the bed and passed out. I slept. I think my rack mate woke me up a few times for food, and I told him to eat it, and I went back to sleep. I probably slept 2 days, getting the dope out of my system. I've been running for months, and I was exhausted. And when I woke up, I got off the rack, and I went over to the little sink, splashed water on my face, and I went to the cell door, and I looked at, the little rectangle door they got in cell doors, and I looked out at the zone with the, inmates milling around in the day room, some in the corner doing push-ups. You got some guys sitting over there playing spades, and it was such a familiar scene for me But this time it struck me different than it had every other time. You know, every other time, honestly, I got locked up before and was like, oh, it's a relief to be somewhere I'm familiar with. I've literally felt that way before. But this time it was different, man. I was looking at out that window and something in me just broke. Right then, in that moment, I didn't want to be in jail anymore. I didn't want, you know, me with my record and the name that I have. I just knew that whatever these charges were they got me on, I'm gonna get a life sentence. You know, I didn't have no dope on me. I figured they done set me up. They're framing me, whatever's going on, and I just knew that I was never gonna see the light of day again. But it went deeper than that. You know, I didn't want to be a drug addict anymore. I didn't want to put needles in my arm anymore. You know, I was an intravenous drug user. I shot meth the whole time I did meth. You know, I didn't want to be pretty much homeless, sleeping from couch to couch. You know, that whole lifestyle, it's like it all just caved in on me at one time, and I hit my knees in that jail cell and started crying, man. I started praying, and I begged God, if you would just take all of this from me and save me from this situation, you know, you'll never see, you'll never have a problem like this out of me again. And, you know, when I was living with my grandmother till I was 9 or 10, my granny made sure that me and my cousin was in church. She instilled, you know, the faith into me, and you know, and I believed in Jesus, and I believed in God and all that. But then when I moved in with my parents, all that was gone, but it was already in me. So throughout my life, I would find myself just praying just in times of desperation. Never to say thank you God for this or thank you God for that. It was always, oh Lord, please don't let me get a life sentence, or dear Lord, please don't let this happen to me. But I think that day in that jail cell was the first time I was serious. I was dead serious, and you know, I was tired. And so after that day, I stayed there 8 months. He didn't just open the doors and say, come on out. You know, I stayed there 8 months. While I was there, I started writing my life story. You know, somebody said, I want to write a book. I've read 1 million books being locked up. I said, I need something to kill time with. I think I'm going to write a book. And somebody suggested, why don't you write your life story, man? I'd like to read that. So, yeah, I'll do that. So I started writing my life story. I'm just about finished it. Before I typed it up and put it on a hard drive and all that, I hand wrote 1,400 pages. I'm at present day with it right now. I just so busy, it's too busy to finish it, but
it will be finished.
It will be finished. Yeah. It will be. But what that did though, man, putting it all out on paper and writing it down, and you know, I would sit there and I would remember and remember and remember, and I would make me timelines for this year, timelines for that year before I start writing the book itself. And what that did, man, it started opening some real truths in my life. I was seeing everything the life that I lived, and everything that I've done, and everything that I've been through, all in black and white, all written down. And I was visualizing it, and I was realizing, you know, for the longest time, I called myself a product of my environment, because I was. But at the same time, you can't use that as a crutch all your life. You know, I realized that there will come a point in time when I was old enough to make my own decisions. So me saying I'm a product of my environment ain't cutting it no more. Right. Here I am, 35 years old in Rankin County Jail again. I don't have a car, I don't have a home, I don't have anything, right? And here I am, 35 years old, you know, and I was a failure, 100%. I felt like I'm just a failure. I'm nothing. You know, I'm not worth anything. And so it made me realize that by writing my book. It also made me realize, you know, what I touched on a minute ago, how I realized God has had my back all my life. You know, I realized there's been so many times in my life that I should have been dead. There were times that I was starving to death, and He gave me food. You know, I'm in the middle of prison bangings in prison, and He guarded me, He shielded me, and He never left my side, man. All my life, He never left my side, and I could feel that comforting presence in me. And so I kept that with me, man. I kept that feeling. I kept writing my book. I did eight months in the jail there, and for the first time ever, state of Mississippi sent me to prison 4 times before they ever offered me drug treatment. I did 11 years in prison at this point, And my attorney contacts the arresting officer of that charge, and they knew that I was innocent. The arresting officer, they did all their investigating. They had the fake dope, they had the wiretaps, they had everything, and they knew that I didn't do anything.
Right.
So the arresting officer told my lawyer, you know, they're trying to get me in rehab. He said, if he goes to rehab and graduates, we'll drop these charges. They didn't think I'd do it. So I left Rankin County Jail July 2011 and went to Common Bond Treatment Center in South Jackson. It's not open anymore. And I got there with my mind made up. You know, I was court ordered. The guy from the rehab picked me up in the van from the jail and took me to the rehab. I got there, I didn't have any clothes, I didn't have anything. But I had my mind made up that I'm finna do something with myself. You know, like I said, I was 35 years old, I didn't have a pot to piss in. And so I did 30 days in primary, and then after that, you can go to a secondary house there, and you get a job, you gotta pay your rent every month. So I went to the secondary house, and I got me a job doing plumbing and remodeling for a guy named James Thomas and Butch Cornelius, 2 guys. Never met them a day in my life. And them guys, they pick me up every day at that rehab and take me back home every day to that rehab. I had to get clothes out of the indigent closet. I didn't have any clothes to wear to work and stuff, so I went to the indigent closet, got me some pants and stuff that I could wear to work. I started going to work, going to work, going to work. While I was there, I met a girl. Her name's Christina. She's actually in there in the bed asleep right now. She had a little girl. She was 4 or 5, something like that. And so I started talking to her. She was skeptical of, you know, messing with somebody like this in rehab.
Right.
But I wooed her. I did 8 months in rehab and I got out. I rented a house in Pearl for me and Christine and her daughter. And I just kept working, man. I kept going to work, kept going to work. I got involved with a moved church in Pearl. We started going to church every Sunday, and I just started working on building a life, Valentine's Day of 2013, I went to court and legally adopted Natalie. They even redid the birth certificate, put my name on the birth certificate. She'd be 18 in June. This was when she was 5, I think, something like that. And then just kept working, kept pushing. By 2016, we found out we could buy a house. Right before that happened, James passed away, and Butch made me his partner of that company. So I went from going to work for them guys. I started at 10, they moved me to 11, moved me to 12, moved me to 15, then they put me on salary, then I was made a partner of the company. And then a couple years later, people started reaching out to me. This lady named Donna Ladd that does Jackson Free Press in Jackson, she reached out to me wanting to do a story on me, and she did the story on me. It appeared in The Guardian. And whenever that happened, and then she also did one in her local paper. And I've always felt this stirring in my spirit of telling me, you know, you need to work with kids. Well, the longer I went being sober off dope and working and going to church and working, learning how to, you know, when I first got out of rehab, I worked with James and Butch, and I watched them. I watched how they work. I watched how they treat their families. I watched how they, everything. I never had a man in my life that I could really watch to learn how to be a man. You know, a lot of people think that a man just automatically knows how to be a man.
Right.
That's not the case, man.
Right.
We need a man to show us how to be a man.
Yes.
And so I mimicked everything I watched James and Butch do. I watched them. You know, it didn't take it no time, and they treated us like family. You know, we go to NASCAR races with them. If they have family events, they make sure we're coming. When I say we, I'm talking about me and Christine and Natalie.
Right.
And so I learned through them and experiencing at the time how to be a man, how to take care of a household, how to be a husband, how to be a father, not like my family dynamic when I was a kid. Well, the longer I went being sober and building a life for myself, the stronger this stuff in my spirit was getting, telling me work with kids, work with kids. And this is how I know God is real. So I'm getting these. I mean, it's strong in my spirit. You need to work with kids. So, and it got in my mind, I wanted to build a program of ex-drug addicts, ex-gang members, ex-convicts, XXX that has lived that life. And
Yeah, Stiffy, I was just being petty because somebody thought that they had all the sense and that I got my. He said the video that he struck down. So apparently he thinks because I privated my video that he struck it down. So I was just being petty and showing somebody that they're not as smart as they think. But however, 1 second, let me. Just because I am petty. Took me forever to find it. I didn't know where it was. Like, it's how little I play around over there on Rumble. But here we are. Nope, this one. Here we go. What do we have here? Wrong one. What do we have here? That says policy violations. And you see that 0? Says status. Okay, your account is currently in good standing with no policy violations. You didn't strike shit over here, pimpin'. Sorry, just had to clear that up. Okay, so these we're creeping up on 2 hours. So I'm probably going to close this one off on YouTube because I noticed that if they're anything over 2 hours, people really get discouraged and won't watch it. And I'm trying to do it in like a bunch of smaller live streams so it's easier to follow. However, I am still live over on Rumble and it's only been live for 25 minutes, so I will probably keep that one going for a little while. I'm not gonna keep sharing this. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And Cousin should be going live here soon. I mean, we still got a few more hours, but I might find something to do until then. Like, I'll probably keep the Rumble stream going because I haven't been going live over there just to keep Alex's name trending on, both social media or both platforms. I mean, and honestly, just to piss people off because I am not banned anywhere. I can go wherever I want. Ha ha ha. Love you guys. Bye.